Okay, so what we're going to talk about today in this video is Kayla Harrison. Okay, she's making her UFC 300 debut. It's been long awaited. One of the biggest things in the news is she going to make weight? She's always fought at 155, I guess, in the PFL for the last 4 or 5 years. She's a PFL two-time champion. She just signed a contract with UFC to fight at UFC 300. And get this, at 135 pounds, okay? So that's 20 pounds lighter than she usually fights at. Everyone's saying she's not going to make the weight. Everyone's saying it's not the challenge of fighting Holly Holm isn't the challenge. The big challenge is, can she make 135? Okay, just recently, Kayla was on the Ariel Helwani show, and they were talking about making 135. And she said she was very afraid of making the weight and all that kind of stuff. And then so Ariel asked her, so have you ever weighed 135 before? And if so, when was it? Okay, she didn't even weigh 135 when she won 2 judo Olympic gold medals. Okay, and I think she even fought those like at, well, somewhere in the 160s. She said the last time she weighed, don't quote me on this, I don't have it right in front of me, but I believe she said the lightest she's ever been, the closest she's been to 135 was she's around 135, and that was like when she was 14 years old. Something like that. Okay, so we're talking way back when, because now she's 33. And she's always been an advocate of not cutting weight, not cutting drastic weight, because she says her walk around weight is between 160 to 165, and she'd fight at 155. And when she was in the Olympics, she basically fought at the weight that she weighed in at. Okay, so she basically likes to fight around her walking weight, setting a standard that we can fight at a healthy fighting weight. So everyone's really skeptical if she can make, not only can she make 135, is how will she do when she gets down to 135? But Kayla's been doing it smart. She has a nutritionist working with her and dietitian, all that kind of stuff, working with her, getting down to weight. She says currently we're about a month out from UFC 300. I believe it was April 13th, UFC 300. She says she's sitting around 150, which is definitely within striking distance of making the weight. And she looks a lot leaner than usual, like her face looks leaner. She's a very muscular girl. That's why everyone's really curious if she can make the weight. Because she's a big girl. I think she's 5'8". So she's not like a petite girl at all. So making 135 is going to be tough. But she said anything worth having is worth sacrificing. So she believes, she says she doesn't believe she's going to make it. She said she will make it. She said, I'm a professional, don't worry about it, I will make the weight. So the weight is 135, I believe it's, what do they call 135? Featherweight. So it's a featherweight, for the featherweight fight at UFC 300 on April 13th in Las Vegas. She's fighting Holly Holm, who is ranked number 5 in the world at featherweight in the UFC. Holly Holm is also a striker, whereas Kayla Harrison is her background is judo, so more of a grappling style. So it's going to be a great fight. And keep in mind also, I believe Holly Holm's over 40 now, so that's something people are talking about. But Holly Holm's also a previous UFC, I keep wanting to call it bantamweight, a UFC featherweight champion, where she beat Ronda Rousey for the belt, if anyone remembers that fight. Now, that was years back. But yeah, basically Ronda Rousey definitely underestimated the difference in striking and tried to stand with her. And it didn't work out well, as you can guess, right? She basically got TKO'd by Holly Holm with strikes, starting with a kick to the head. Okay, so people are saying this may be what Kayla could be walking into. But most people think Kayla should be able to take on the challenge of Holly Holm. But the real issue that everyone's worried about is will she lose a lot of her energy and strength, depleting herself down to 135. Actually, they get to do 136 because it's not for a title fight. So what do you guys think? I think Kayla's going to win. Another benefit to Kayla Harrison also is this. She's really good at the ground and pound, right? When she gets on top, ground and pound. In PFL, they didn't allow elbows, so you couldn't do like a strike with elbows, right? or even standing. Couldn't do any strikes with the elbows because they didn't want their fighters getting cut in case they had to do back-to-back tournament type style fighting in the PFL. So in the UFC, she can use her elbows, and she's excited, and she's excited about it. So she thinks that that's going to be the big difference. She thinks she's basically going to take her down, the Holly Holm down, ground and pound her, beat her up with elbows until the fight stopped. And that's how most people see it playing out, okay? I don't think, you never know, but I don't think she wants to fight a stand-up fight with Holly Holm. I'm not sure, did I mention already that Holly Holm is also a Hall of Famer in women's boxing? She's just inducted to the Hall of Fame for women's boxing. And she's also done kickboxing. Very successful in both, very successful in MMA. So she's no slouch. You always forget how good Holly Holm is until you see her fight. Because she's not a big talker. She doesn't have a lot of smack talk. She's just very humble. Her approach to the fights are, may the best person win, that kind of thing, right? So she's not a big talker and all that kind of thing. So people forget. They underestimate her all the time. They forget how good she is. So this will be a good fight. Just like the rest of the fights on UFC 300, there's going to be a lot of great fights. And this is one of them. So yeah, so UFC brought Kayla Harrison over to the UFC. Finally, it's been a while. They've been talking about this for years. Because Kayla at first, I wasn't sure what I thought about her when I first saw her on the scene with PFL and all that, because she's a bit of a smack talker and stuff. I was like, who is this girl, right? But the more and more I hear her talk, and I hear about her, she has a backstory too. You hear about her backstory in the Olympics and all that kind of stuff, and overcoming adversities and all that. You start to really embrace Kayla Harrison, right? She's definitely got that it factor. When she's on the screen, you want to watch. When her fight is going, you want to watch. No matter who she's fighting, basically you're going to put her in the UFC 300 with anybody, and everybody's eyes would have been on the fight. In any other card, other than UFC 300, any card, this could be a main event, pay-per-view main event. No problem. And a lot of the fights throughout the UFC 300 card could be main events on the pay-per-view. And I'm not even just saying that. Even though people are trying to make a big stink out of it, that it's not a big card, it's huge. It's great. There's going to be great fights from start to finish. My prediction is Kayla Harrison is going to win. I think she's going to take her down to the ground and ground and pound her. It could go the distance. Hell, what if she beats the striker on her feet, right? You never know. This is MMA. Anything can happen. That's the beauty of this. Or Holly Holm could do a head kick knockout, right? What's that thing? Head kick dead? So yeah, so we don't know what could happen. That's the beauty of watching fights. Anything can happen on any given day with any given athlete, right? But my prediction, Kayla Harris for the win at her UFC debut, UFC 300 on April 13th. All right, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah.